guys sleep on the job there.
Good afternoon, Senator. My name is Larry Goodman. I'm a 39-year steelworker. I organized this plant. I work for the International Union as a organizer. I'm all over the country organizing unions. What I want to know is what your position on the Employees Free Choice Act. I'm currently trying to organize plants. I get management that totally resist the organizational drive, scare people out of their wits. People are afraid to join unions, and that's your right. Unlike this plant here, when I organized this plant, we had a fair campaign. We had good cooperation from management, and these people here have got a union. They know what a union is about. Thank you.
Well, listen, I am so proud of this company for being able to set up good labor relations. And, you know, the best run companies, I notice, are ones that are not afraid of union drives, because they know that if they've got a cooperative workforce that feels it's got a stake in the company's success, that company will end up over the long term being more successful and more profitable. And so, in terms of your specific question, the Employee Free Choice Act, I'm a huge supporter of, and I intend to sign it when I'm President of the United States of America. For those of you who aren't aware, the Employee Free Choice Act says that you can sign a card saying you want to join a union, and if you get a majority of signatories in the plant or facility, then in fact a union is created, as opposed to creating a whole series of barriers and hurdles that oftentimes management uses to break up or discourage the union movement. Now, the unions, I think, have to understand that companies are under fierce global competition. So one of the things that I think you're seeing in the union movement is a greater maturity in understanding that if the company doesn't make a profit, it doesn't matter what your contract says, they're going to shut down, right? So the union has to constantly be working with management to figure out, how do we make the company more profitable? How do we make it more efficient? How do we innovate? How do we incorporate new technologies? And if you've got that attitude, then I trust the American workforce. I believe that we can compete with anybody in the world. There is nobody that we can't compete with, and we shouldn't be afraid of competition. We shouldn't be afraid of competition, but what we do have to make sure of is that our strategy for long-term economic growth is not just to drive down wages, eliminate benefits, and boost corporate profits at the expense of workers. That's not a recipe for long-term economic growth. Strategy for long-term economic growth is making sure that workers, alongside management, are continually adding value and getting more skills, getting better training, creating new innovative technologies. That's going to be the recipe for long-term success. And my job as president is going to be to encourage that partnership and to continually invest in workers. I mentioned earlier I want to give a $4,000 tuition credit every student every year for college. I don't want people to misunderstand me. I'm not just talking about four-year colleges. I'm talking about if it turns out that there's a new technology related to the wind industry where some of you need to be retrained, then you should be able to get that training, and the company should be able to count on the government providing some support for the retraining of those workers so that you're not out of a job. And today, what's going to happen in our economy is that any worker at any company is going to have to continually adapt to new skills, new technologies, and we want to make sure that you've got the resources to do that so that you can continually upgrade. And even if the technologies don't change, you may want to advance within the company and take on new skills. So you might want to say, I want to go take a night class for 6 months that will allow me to do something that I don't know how to do right now. I'll go to the local community college. We should have the local community college interacting with Gamesa to find out from them, are there certain things that you need skilled workers for that you don't have enough training And we will fill in some of those gaps to make sure that everybody's moving in the same direction.